Much good stuff that Six Fans isn't being able to hold back even the Zacks and Gallios of the world.
I feel like Thresh needs to be slipped through this time. I feel like you ban Galio, Zac, and Elise, and you try and not give Longzhu one of those busted picks. Because we saw Cuz's Elise is outstanding as well.
But then you consider what's available. Syndra, Fiora, Thresh.
It's true.
There's a lot available there. Looks like BDD won't want to jump onto the Syndra, so we may get that situation where Thresh is the highest priority available, and with Tahm Kench available as an answer, even then the Thresh value is lower. So Longzhu opting into banning the Syndra means that a fourth champion doesn't fall through. That is on the crazy scale, and if you're on the jungle scale, top three have been Lee Sin, Elise, and Zac, so perhaps no surprise that Cuz will jump on the Lee Sin. He'll be wanting to turn his great performance on Zac into a great performance on Lee Sin, because a lot of people were watching the SKT series. By the last game, he was basically, what, 2.5 items at 50 minutes, couldn't get anything done because of the Lulu polymorph, didn't have a game to remember on the Lee Sin. Given the level of opposition, this is the sort of game where he should be able to have a significantly better performance.
Well, MVP, Gauntlet thrown down immediately as ADD is going to deny the Rumble pick with the Fiora still open, with Kled still open, with Renekton still open, with literally anything that Khan wants to play still open. And no worry about a counter pick. Ashe going to be picked away from Prey, which we've seen over and over again.
It feels like two pick-aways, which for a team that is right down the bottom isn't even playing your strongest. It's more denying what the opposition has excelled on, which if you're the best team in the world, maybe you can pull it off. When you're MVP, looks like it's going to be dicey. Maybe they can make us believers, but
I just want to see Zaire Khan. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, you can't have it.
I know.
It's not coming.
Prey says no. Denied fun, as we're going to have an archery off towards the bottom side.
Very early, Talia might come through from the side of BDD. So just a pick comp being enabled by Longzhu, Chains of Corruption, and then someone like Talia who can delete people if they're stuck in one spot and get seismically shoved back.
Yep. Oh, excellent verbification there, Papa Smithy.
It was just a verb.
Verbification of a noun.
Does mean that he passed over something like the Orianna. Now, Talia has the shove on Orianna, and Longzhu seemed to want to get out of the building before about 7 p.m. So I guess having the early shove and the earlier power spikes is just fine by the side of Longzhu.
What are we going to do, Papa Smithy? We might be hanging around here for like an hour and a half.
We can have an offline podcast.
Oh, nice.
We can have a chat and not invite the plebs to join.
Let's just go talk to OGN. We can see whether we can just keep the stream going. And just
I'd rather have an
for the whole
exclusive
time.
chat that I don't share with the rest, you know?
Aww. I'm blushing. I know he's lying, but I'm going to pretend that he's being serious. Now, Fiora is going to be banned away. So this is what Longzhu sort of ran into by picking the Talia instead of a top laner. They don't get to look for any sort of potential counter picks in case MVP grabbed that one first. And also,
but there's not enough. You already mentioned three of them, Atlas. So
there's only two bans.
You can get two of the headaches gone, but you can't really get the further ones. Even Jarvan would be something that would work with the pick comp that's been enacted. So they banned the Fiora, which is Khan's famous pick. But like you say, a lot available to Khan to take into the Rumble. Tahm Kench going to be banned away.
Okay, so Gorilla not getting that one, but there's still Thresh.
And but they can just take Thresh as their first pick on red side. So that's a possibility for MVP.
True. Does Longzhu now ban it away? I mean, they're pretty spoilt for choice when it comes to what they want to ban away, but the Jarvan is going to be taken off the board. Interesting. So beyond the one targeted from that one, Max could also theoretically play it. Because
Beyond has played one game of Jarvan.
Was that the completely awful Jarvan game?
Yeah. But remember that Beyond could play Rumble as well. Outside chance, he's been playing Rumble jungle in scrims. So if MVP are following that logic, they could take a support here, but they're not willing to flex. They will just jump Beyond onto the Kha'Zix.
Like the use of jump there, but that's going to mean Gorilla gets his favorite Thresh. We know his laning prowess on that champion
is roaming
outstanding. Yeah, just amazing. And that is going to be the Jace picked up.
But it's not just the Jace, it's the reverse matchup, Atlas.
Oh, baby. Khan is feeling confident today, Papa Smithy.
Braum was the potential answer if there was a very early Thresh taken on red side for the side of Longzhu, but they went Thresh, and now Max has plenty of options. He has been known to really take advantage of last pick on the red side with supports, and he'll jump onto the Blitzcrank. We've got hookers in the bot lane, two of them.
Certainly do. It's Hook City. happening right now. I'm going to step right over that one, Papa Smithy. You guys heard the elation in the audience. Ooh, as Max picks up the Blitzcrank. I'm looking for some rockety grabs on the bottom side of the map. We'll see whether it's going to be Prey falling for that one or whether Maha's just going to get death sentenced once again and bring Longzhu to a 2-0 victory pretty early on in the evening.
And a lot of expectation about the top lane, Atlas. A lot of expectation that this time the Jace will get a bit of help to get snowballing because Rumble was winning in CS against Jason. According to my expectations, that shouldn't happen. So I expect there to be a lot more attention there. Different type of jungler from Beyond jumping onto the Kha'Zix this time will mean that his early skirmishing, unless he's the one doing invading, will be weaker than that of Lee Sin. And given how good Kaz looked in Game 1, this could be a redemption story for Kaz. Wants to make the Lee Sin a pick of his own that people have to fear, that people have to ban. And this is a good first step to make that happen.
Yep. He has had... The last performance against SKT, like you mentioned before, wasn't great, but before that he did have some pretty standout performances when we were looking at the Lee Sin as being a member of those trifecta of junglers. Now, Elise and Zach are really sitting ahead of those two, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got Hook sitting on the bottom side of the map. We've got some reverse matchups towards the top side. It's an exciting draft. Let's get into an exciting game. All right, MVP fans still most certainly getting behind their team. Quite a few fans here in the audience so far, Papa Smithy.
Very famous organization, multi-esport organization as well. So good to see that people haven't fully abandoned them after a rough start to the season. Could always turn it around. We've had teams rise from around this spot to playoffs, like a Freak of Freaks in 2016.
Yeah.
So always chance. They just need some wins, you know. Even a game win at this point. They're staring down double digits. There will be 10 matches in a row. 10 games, sorry, lost in a row for the side of MVP. They're not able to pick up a win here. Currently at that 9. Very close.
It's very scary. And just looking down at the teams that they lost against. SKT, KT, that makes a lot of sense, but Ever8's in there as well. I mean, they just came off losses against Samsung, KT, SKT, though. So it's been a really rough last 3 matches. And
Longzhu's, you know, a pretty tricky one to throw in there as well. We're finding out increasingly.
That's like the top 4. They've just gone against the top 4.
You take away Ever8 and Jinair, Samsung, KT, SKT, and Longzhu could all be top 5. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, true.
Is that where things are now? MVP again will say, well, it has to get better, but they would have said that after their last match. They'll say that after this match. Both teams 5-man invaded to try to negate the power of the Blitzcrank, but that means we got some skirmishing here.
Yeah, Ian already takes half of his health bar and damage, though, is Beyond. He's forced out. Q lands from Kuz, takes it immediately. Fair bit of damage onto ADD.
It's a big Raptor fight, and these have been going to Kuz.
Yeah, Kuz got a lot of them. Beyond, he does have the health advantage, though, as Khan inside track towards the top lane.
He's actually trying to block there as Gorilla.
Yeah, Gorilla's actually pretty excited about getting hooked because he gets a free play.
We didn't see who got that.
Kuz is just...
Kuz could just die.
He could. There is a Q available.
Beyond got it.
The flash.
So Beyond got the big Raptor, didn't get level 2 because there was a sharing of the little Raptors, and Kuz for once loses a Smite battle. First micro win to MVP. Might be big in terms of confidence for this game.
Especially when it comes from the jungle as well. We saw last game it was Kuz really rolling over the top of Beyond. So if anyone needs the added confidence, it most certainly is the MVP jungler. Not sure whether it's going to be as impactful here in this particular matchup. Kha'Zix does want to be farming quite some time in the early game.
ADD has 0 CS. That's a problem.
Not having a great time.
Kuz has to smite the red just to not die. We're almost going to jump over. He could just kill him.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, just a little bit too late. Beyond. Don't know whether he even has leap.
No, I mean, you have to go WQ to clear the jungle. If you go E, Kha'Zix will just die to certain camps, so doesn't have it either. Had his flash available, but Kuz gets out.
That was hyper greedy. The fact that there was a ward there, but they just used map positioning in order to guarantee a kill under the red buff. Now Gorilla, he's going to chuck a ward down onto their red as well and start that one up. It looks like Prey might even be taking a red buff towards the bottom side of the map.
They leashed it. The reason you leash it there is that if the enemy jungler was in that quadrant, it would start chasing and investigating the Kha'Zix, but not there. So they know for sure that Kha'Zix's not around.
Well, we're going to go into this brush. Doesn't actually have vision on the red, which is kind of frustrating. Mostly just me and my OCD, though.
I think it's just so that they have information on every potential entrance of Kha'Zix to the red buff. Yeah. Between the two wards they have down, there's no way for Kha'Zix, barring going down and potentially going through Tri-Brush, which is the most likely brush to be warded, to get to red. So given Kha'Zix's usual path and the fact that he has leap, beyond or can't realistically sneak the red.
Yeah, there is a theoretical way through, but it's a maze that you certainly wouldn't know about. And so Cuz is going to take the red buff anyway, so it's all fine. 3 buff start completed for Cuz, regardless of whether he loses the first Smite battle or not.
And so why the 3 buff? How did it happen? Was it just Cuz being a Rambo? Was he being, disrespectful? Remember that you look at the draft and it's double range bot lane. Varus will have the pushing advantage here with the Blitzcrank support being factored in. Taliyah always shoves Orianna early before items in level 9. And Jace was denying ADD 1 CS. He actually had 0 CS when we were seeing that invade. So the timing of the invade was perfect. If any of those lanes are at even, specifically top or mid lane, then it's too risky to invade like he did. But that's the reason why I wanted to track the top lane, is that if this lane does go as expected, we're back to 3 winning lanes on blue side territory, Atlas.
Yeah, and it's already 300 gold the lead. I mean, it was 500, I believe, this time in game number 1. However, it's still feeling dangerously reminiscent of the first time we saw these two teams clash. And dangerously reminiscent is only talking about MVP's chances, because Longzhu looked very happy, very comfortable. And they look like a team that is just not being challenged, right? They don't need to change things up. They don't need to reveal any sort of strategy. It's sort of like another day in the office, which is such a bad sign for MVP. This was a team that took a little while to really get to form in the spring season as well, sort of the opposite of KT. KT came out swinging, looked like they were undefeatable, and then did have a lapse towards the end of the season, despite being our runners-up.
And the most hopeful thing you can say about MVP is they have been streaky in the past, and they kind of have been the 6-0 into 0-6 into 6-0 kind of run team. They got a lot of 2-0s when they were winning. They didn't go to 3-game series very often. But it's the counterpoint, where against the best teams, they've never taken a game off SKT in now 2.5 seasons in the LCK. Very frequently, they would lose cleanly against the best teams. This is the ever 8 loss, and other losses where start to worry a bit about the side of MVP. That'll be what their coach is saying. They'll be saying, okay, another loss, but focus on what you need to fix, and things will get better. And that logic is true until it really isn't. And if it fails, if they lose to the teams like BBQ, if they lose the teams down the bottom, then there's nothing to fall back on. Then your season really is almost already up in flames.
Yeah. So let's talk about Longzhu, because it feels a little bit nicer to talk about the winning team. I was getting slightly depressed there, Papa Smithy. I had a bad dream last night. So it's all just compiling. But Longzhu, the way they're beating MVP right now, the fact that it is so clean and so textbook, and MVP are just coming off a loss against SKT that was so much more messy, really does speak volumes for Longzhu, and obviously how disciplined they are with how they play out every single game. I mean, SKT looked like they were having a little bit of fun, which is great, but if you really want to be a winner, you have to treat every single game like an important one. As there's a Weaver's Wall, and BDD wants to trap ADD, guarantee a flash, and does so very, very easily. Khan is going to have a lot of control now in this lane.
They have a bit more flexibility than they did before. The meta changes. If you remember Longzhu in the second half of the season, they basically either drafted Ashe or just kind of straight up lost. They needed Prey to have initiation, and teams learned and just started double banning Varus and Ashe, and Prey was kind of sad and still a superstar, but only so much he could do. But that was with different players. Fly was not much of an initiator. Crash especially kind of purely played fighter junglers, didn't really play much strong initiation, and didn't seem to have the mentality in the late games to make those plays. Now you throw in Cuz, who has been pretty comfortable to play Zac. His Lee Sin is still getting there, but he has that. Thresh is available in the meta. Other initiators, melee supports, like Alistair in the past, are meta again. So you can have options to initiate from support. And Khan can play initiators. We've seen his Jarvan multiple times. So the meta has changed, and Longzhu looks so much better. as a result.
Khan actually looked pretty good there, dodging out of the way of that rocket grab. And this tower will not fall. ADD clearing vision on the bottom side. Prey clears out the minion wave. We'll head back home to match this lane swap as the minions meet once again. Unless he gets interrupted. No, he gets home, so success, but good lane swap from MVP. They really did catch Longzhu unawares there, so we'll get some spare time with these creep waves.
Get the first trade, like you say, so minions will either chunk down Gorilla's health bar or be denied from that of Prey. And they're going to just swap back, so MVP are just trying to create disarray. You know why that's good, Atlas? Because someone like Blitzcrank, during all of these swaps, goes off the map for a moment. The expectation is that he's just running down bot lane. And BDD needs to be respectful. As far as we can tell, he was not spotted on a ward as he rotated down.
Well, you say he needs to be respectful. He certainly is. He's not moving any closer to that minion wave than he absolutely has to. So you're exactly right. Longzhu understand that they do need to add the extra respect, especially in this early game, to Max, who has the Moby boots as well. This is a very fast robot man.
Nice fill path there to get those hooks off. A lot more people playing the Blitzcrank these days. It was kind of a Max special when he played it for the first time in the playoffs against the Freak of Freaks.
Yeah.
Found success on it.
Then it seems that everyone was jumping on the train. Key, most notably, finding some success on the Blitzcrank as well.
No one's in love with those range supports that make Blitzcrank's life hell. You know, Zyra's fallen out unless you're Core JJ, so...
Yeah, Gorilla as well has actually played even games, Thresh and Zyra this season.
I mean, there's been a smattering, right, of Zyra, Lulu, those sort of champions, but Malzahar's completely gone, and with Malzahar gone, and Malzahar, you know, was picked literally just for his ultimate by the end, pick champions and initiation from supports back, and the fact that it can't be a range spell, that it now kind of has to be melee if you want support. Thresh is the one exception there. Means that Blitzcrank finds his way. Not enough harass to force him out of bot lane, and it's kind of fun to have the robot man back. It's been a long time.
Talk about forcing out of lane. Ian is now getting completely collapsed on. There's the flash kick. Beautifully played. Can't even register the R button. And that is first blood going to Khan of all players. Teleports back. And once again, it's another day in the office. Doesn't even miss a goddamn creep.
But the worrying thing for MVP is it's not just one-off play. Look as they get 3 members into the bot lane at the same time. AD's already used his ultimate.
And they're going for the dive here as well. He overheats. He's doing a fair bit of damage to Cuz. As Gorilla, oh, the flash. That was a little bit unnecessary. They don't get the turret. Cuz does survive, but they go 1 for 1, and that is bad news, Bears.
Yeah, Gorilla thought that if he flashed away, he would take down turret aggro. Not turret aggro, minion aggro, and get away on a sliver of HP. Miscalculated in the bot lane. He's here.
All right, Beyond is having a rough time as once again we're going for another dive.
No Zac in this game, but it feels like there's one.
Yeah, BDD just easily picks that one up with another threaded volley, takes a celebratory turret shot. One of my personal favorite kinds of turret shots, Papa Smithy.
BDD is so different to Fly, their previous mid laner.
Oh no, that's...
They want it to complete.
That's suboptimal.
They wanted it to complete. They actually baited ADD to come through.
And talking about another DD, it is going to be, oh, BDD falling down. Prey should be able to answer this, but decent 1 for 1 once again. Oh no,
doesn't have the mana.
Prey! He just wants one piercing arrow, doesn't get there, so that's a 1 for nothing. ADD 2-1-0 now, haunting guys in his back pocket. He could be the one guy, the one shining hope here for MVP, but they're losing structures all over the map.
Yeah, BDD was too cute. Both of them, if you notice, slowed down their auto attacks and allowed the Rumble to teleport in, thinking they were going to get a turret and a teleport and a kill. And they don't even get the 1 for 1 there, Atlas. So a little bit too much overconfidence on the side of Longzhu. It isn't the explosive lead that there was in the previous games. Only 1,000 gold. Definitely don't want to call this one over before it's over. And like you say, ADD at least will have a powerful equalizer to contribute in the next fight.
Yeah. He's not even ahead of Khan, though. He's been farming up a Storm, grabbed that first blood as well.
This is how the lane's supposed to go. You know, you are supposed to be ahead as Jace. First purchase onwards, Jace smashes Rumble. It's only pre-item purchases, or with one item, you know, with starting items that he does well. As Kuz wants to kill Orianna again, he probably will.
Well, that's not going to be with the ultimate from Prey, nor the E button of Kuz. In fact, no one's going to land anything. Oh, Prey moves Past that minion, good shock blast onto Ian, sends him a message, but the message is, yes, we're going to miss you with all of our abilities until I can hit you with some poke at the end. Haha.
And credit where credit's due. Nice stuff from Ian.
Yeah.
Good sideways tapes and disco dance moves that Core JJ from the other day would appreciate.
Oh, baby, that was so good to watch.
No flash from Cuz to guarantee the turret dive this time. No kick. Unless he lives to tell another tale. They took mid lane turret and could have the latitude to just send BDD with the Weaver's Wall out of lane at a moment's notice. Might have been the breaking point for MVP.
Well, MVP are going to continue putting the pressure on. They
No Weaver's Wall.
should be able to get this Ocean Drake pretty easily, unless Gorilla can go for some sort of death sentence steal, but that's more max territory.
Probably smart of Longzhu. No Weaver's Wall to at least get there first. No Chains of Corruption either. A very low likelihood of success, and Khan wasn't going to be able to rotate either. I said either twice. Feels bad, man.
Yep. But that doesn't matter either. So, Khan continues pushing.
He's not going for no new school Blade the Ruin King. He's got a Ghost Blade.
He's going for the ghosty build. I like it.
Focusing
Reminds
on...
me of Twin Shadows, Pop Smithy.
That's fair. I know you were a big Twin Shadows fan.
Was I ever?
The spooky ghosts, we like to call them.
Yeah, the spooky ghosts. Wow, yeah. It's way too meta calling it Twin Shadows. What was I thinking?
Ghostblade is more about the EQ poke, so doesn't mean that he's going to do some grouping here rather than just the Blade the Ruin King, which is best in a side lane.
Oh, and speaking about our good old times, Papa Smithy, we've got some Swifties on the board. It's been a while since we've seen some Swifties.
Interesting choice. There are slows on the side of MVP, but you would think...
Helps against Harpoon.
I guess Ninja Tabi doesn't feel that good in this game, so I guess fine. You know?
Just needs a Gunblade now.
That's so... literally...
No one will understand that.
No one.
Yeah.
Well, that time the Chains Corruption hits.
Yep, certainly will understand this one as ADD thrown into a bouncing castle. A few abilities missed, but if you have a whole lot of them to throw out, you may as well get that one to work as Weaver's Wall.
Kind of just shot for information here, you would say.
Yeah.
Didn't look like he was going to commit to it. Backs away.
It's like a Moses maneuver.
That's right. I thought you were going to say a nosy maneuver. Where he's like, what's going on here?
Hello. Oh dear. Colloquialisms everywhere. I've lost it. Two lands.
MVP weren't able to punish on the other side of the map till now. Finally move the minion wave forward. Ian can walk up as well. Getting this out of mid lane tower would be big for the side of MVP.
Yep. Hook's not going to land though, so BDD is still able to clear out these minions, and the collapse is on. Okay, Khan will easily be able to grab that. Now Longzhu looking to try and grab a Rift Herald of their own, but it's going down very, very slowly. They do have the man advantage, though, as ADD is on the bottom side. Rocket Grab goes wide. Khan, not even sure how he had vision there.
I think they'll try and get a steal from beyond here. Have information. Goes in.
Yeah, but he just doesn't get it, and he gets a hook instead. Bad news. Prey's going to be able to grab himself a kill. BDD had already killed Max. That was almost another one.
But you wonder how both those things can happen at the same time. Why, as they're looking for a steal, is MVP walking up in the mid lane? You need to do one or the other. You need to play respectful when you're trying to make things happen. Elsewhere, as this is a Ghost Blade Jace and a full health Rift Herald, and Prey going to solo down the top turret.
Yep. And
we're running out of hands.
Yeah, and another charge from the Rift Herald as well. Oh my goodness, they just let it go. They will just protect their AD carry. But look at all of the vision as well, Papa Smithy. The follow-up objectives that Longzhu are able to pick up aren't just this turret, the Rift Herald, mid lane, everything, but it's also having all of this added information now all over the map. MVP going to have a rough time sweeping them all out.
So we're going to see what happened while we were watching the contest.
Oh, the double.
The double shove. Well, that was sick.
That was.
Can't feel that bad if you're Max and Maha. Still don't need to walk up through a narrow crevice, but that was sick from BDD.
Beautiful. Want to liken it to Kuro's, which was really, really pretty as the other day.
Kuro's a little bit more clutch with where the game was at the time, but...
Yeah, and where his performance on the Talia was at the same time. So, pretty brilliant series, to be honest.
I mean, a lot of gold sitting on Khan, who hasn't bought since we noted those Swifty boots. QSS from Prey, so we can walk up and wave clear. We said 3 pushing lanes. They've got deep vision as well. They took the Rift Herald and got mid lane turret. We know what Longzhu wants to do. I feel like MVP should know what Longzhu wants to do. So can MVP do what they need to do, which in the context of this draft is fight for vision. Keep a control ward line as advanced as you can defend, which is probably pretty shallow, but still, is going to be something. There should be no free red buffs or blue buffs to the side of Longzhu, and you have Ash Blitzcrank. You can still make things happen.
Oh dear.
As well.
ADD.
It's just going to be Longzhu making things happen.
Yeah, and yeah, they're just trying to get some assists on the board here to make their time worth it. Gorilla doesn't get one, unfortunately. He was trying to go for the Dark Passage shield.
It can be hard to cast MVP at times because why is ADD within 100 units of the bot lane turret with no pressure on the map, with none of his lanes backing him up, with almost no vision? The rest of the team doesn't have a free objective to take elsewhere on the map. There was no trading up. There was never going to be a trade. It's just a feeding. They just fed him kill.
If I take a quote from Solo Q, it's like, well, I got better things to do anyway, guys, or something.
MVP is becoming a team that it's hard to have high expectations of, Atlas, which is a bad sign. A bad sign for their tenure in the LCK.
And that Weaver's Wall, understandable placement, just denies any sort of answer from MVP, but they do at least have enough members here. And a deep ward for a teleport
that
ADD doesn't have yet. Ah, so they cancelled it. So that's why the back away happened. I didn't actually notice. I apologize.
Probably smart to cancel, but
good attempt from MVP. At least saves their inner turret.
Someone made a call to teleport, and then someone said no. That's probably what happened in that particular scenario.
Well, that's just the tip, and all of the buttons land this time. The arrow comes in, but Gorilla probably happy to sit there and dance for a little while. He will move away. Easy pickings.
Yep.
For Longzhu.
Increasingly easier, too. It's kind of the worry. Longzhu keep doing what they need to do. Nothing to comment on there. Good itemization. Blitzcrank being respected with the early Banshee Veil in the mid lane. No chance to walk up for the Infernal Drake. ADD already found out that walking this far up the map is just going to lead to inevitable doom. So free objective upon free objective after picking the pushing lanes. If you're going to pick a comp like this from MVP with the Orianna mid lane, you need to be willing to fight, to at least put down control wards and try things. And instead, their attempts to try things are just being a bit disrespectful with your movements and thinking we'll get away with this. You know, we're taking a risk, but the rest of the points aren't there, so they're just taking a risk for no reason.
Feels a little bit like desperation, for desperation's sake in some ways.
That's a good way to put it. You know, that is what we're seeing from MVP. It's why the SKT series where they did do some smart things, you know, they were able to snowball top lane. We saw AD and Beyond play so well together, you know, with some very punishing setups. With the Jarvan top lane they could gank for, and now they draft Rumble Kha'Zix that don't have early synergy, and we really haven't talked about AD and Beyond pairing together, so they abandoned something that was working. In the mid to late game decision making, unfortunately, if you just can't get to the mid to late game, the things you liked about the Game 2 versus SKT just aren't relevant because they're not in situations to be able to do that.
Yeah. And you look at Khan doing so much better in this matchup now against ADD, but you have to add the rest of the storyline there as well. There is zero hard CC coming out of MVP in their top jungle. So how are you supposed to get any successful ganks? Khan can play super aggressively and not really care. He's doing it right now because they have the information of the rest of the team members.
It's why I think picking away Rumble of all champions from Khan is kind of from Khan is kind of rubbish. Doesn't really do much. Doesn't fit MVP either. Some CC hits, but they're not going to commit on it.
No rocket grab to land, unfortunately, even though Prey was sitting there as tasty little ducky. Oh, there's the shockwave. The combo comes in. Prey, he's still alive somehow. The seismic shove, and the Kha'Zix is dead. Prey somehow lives after all the buttons are thrown into him. Gorilla's not going to be as lucky, but they at least keep their AD carry alive, and that is jungler dead. Some backs coming in now from Longzhu as Khan's continuing the shove forward. Still, some action on the board, and MVP showing signs of life.
Yeah, better stuff from MVP. They at least go 1 for 1. When they're this far behind. Meanwhile, Longzhu was able to get a push in bot lane, but not an inhibitor, crucially. No other objectives to pick up, so start to back away. Might contest a blue buff, although Ash spots it out.
Yeah, easily able to take that one down, though, as BDD. He was hanging around the area and just not enough vision. This bottom side jungle for MVP seems to be the story of the last few weeks for this team.
And, you know, they heed what I say. They say, okay, we can put down control wards in places we can defend, but you look at the minimap and you can see what they're able to defend. They haven't made a mistake. That's probably the only area of the map they're safe to defend, which is the sort of control wards in the top red side jungle that are there to stop people, say, Elysian popping around and kicking you from the inner turret. Well, they've already lost the inner turret, and
But that's the tiny inner turret
that's
sort of triangle.
That's their locus of control.
That is very small. But you're right. So at least that's something, but it's not going to help them keep their eye on this Baron. Thankfully, Hawkshot exists, so Maha will be able to help out. No blue trinkets there, though.
But they can, at least from that vantage point, inch forward, brush by brush, and contest Baron. It's something to start from. For the side of MVP, who have been kind of metaphorically looking for that, reaching for that all season since their victory over Jin Air in the first series.
Yeah. Haven't looked in with the gold. It's only about 5,000. Nothing massive. 25 minutes into this game. Longzhu with the Infernal Drake. The Ocean did go over to MVP earlier on in this game, though. So a little bit of extra regen. Not as useful now as it was potentially the earlier stage of the game. I like it on Kha'Zix. Priority on the Ocean Drake when you got a Kha'Zix is good because he eats through his manners.
So have the ability to get a true pick here, MVP, whether it is the Ash Arrow, the Blitzcrank, or a combination of that. Kha'Zix may be behind, but still will do isolated damage, so all's not lost yet.
But how many isolated fights do you have now apart from against Khan, which means that there'll be a Kha'Zix on the bottom side of the map. Arrow is going to get eaten by Kaz. Hook comes in, but immediately cleansed. Yep. That was stunning.
But that's the pick we were talking about there, Atlas. That is what you can do when teams are trying to push up, when they are 4-1 split pushing. So at least it's something. It's something for nothing, you could say, from the side of MVP, and they haven't been getting those sort of trades so far this series.
It wasn't QSS, wasn't a cleanse. It was actually a Banshee Veil. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I was wondering how that hook disappeared. I was looking down the inventory, I'm like, there it is. Okay, he ain't going to be punished for it there by not having his Banshee Veil back up.
You know what? We can say something.
What can we say?
They're better at controlling Baron between 20 and 30 minutes. They set up very shallow control wards. They inch forward. They put wards on the Baron. There hasn't been the Baron sneak that has been their downfall recently. I think Gorilla's in vision, if I saw correct. No, it's just the ball. Never mind.
Yeah, which is perplexing given the fact that it looks like Orianna has full vision of it.
That was weird. But not important. Continue to be respectful around the Baron, but the control wards are sticking there now.
It's good that they're inching their ward line up as well. You saw ADD put a ward down, knew that he was safe, was able to defend his control ward. So you're right, Pub Smithy, they are at least grabbing as much of the space that they can afford to get to as they can, but it's 1 turret to 5. They need to start pushing things forward as blind hook. And they immediately get the pick. That is going to be Gorilla going down. And MVP now with a 5 versus 4 advantage opportunity. Khan trying to deny it as he's going to turn it around as well. There is a Zhonya's in the hands of ADD, and Khan will now have to back away, but he may have bought enough time.
They don't have full information here, Atlas. They just do now find out. So yes, did buy enough time, but they had to have the Talia provide coverage because they don't have vision on the blue side here of MVP.
Okay, that is going to be the answer, but Max does flash his way out. The hook lands onto Kaz, and the Cook kickback onto Beyond. May as well have kept it with Cook because he got cooked afterwards. It's now Maha. He's not going to get shoved back, but Longzhu, they're the ones that get the pick despite some nice hook accuracy in that last exchange from Max.
Meanwhile,
another shockwave comes in. Khan, that was overly aggressive, buddy. Not sure what you were doing there.
Yeah, it felt like it was game 1, did Khan. If they had just gone as 5 to the Baron, there would have been no spike contest available from MVP. Looks like they might try the Baron anyway.
It's a bit of a rush of blood to the head, Pub Smithy, I believe.
That's what it looked like.
They at least get themselves the shockwave. So maybe they were trying to bait out big buttons, which is an alliteration that I can be proud of. However, Arrow flies forward. Oh my God, how did he get it? The dissonance steal from Kaz. You mentioned the juju of getting too many smite victories early on. Well, it's the next game, and he's certainly able to steal that one away. Oh my God, Ian may have just saved the game for MVP.
And it's also reward for good work. They got a couple of picks. They did not roll over. They contested around the Baron, and sure, it was from an unlikely source, but it's not completely against the run of play because Longzhu have kind of taken their foot off the accelerator in the past 5 minutes, and now MVP, they're inching back into the game.
Yeah, this is a 4-1-0 Orianna as well. We've seen Ian pop off as far as MVP rankings are concerned. In the games that they were able to win, I believe it was Ian grabbing double MVP. So he's the man that they often get around. Almost has that Luden's Echo completed. Voidstaff should obviously be coming in next. Have a lot of damage, and Maha, he's got his trifecta. He's feeling good.
And Khan, who's been mostly focusing on the split pushing, hasn't quite been able to break the base or get solo kills onto ADD, who's largely built for team fights. That means that with Baron buff minions especially, the split push theory is halted as nice Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, should get a flash. Oh, that was going to miss, but it doesn't even matter. They do manage to get the flash out of Ian, and they deny MVP's push up the bottom lane. There's so much AD-based wave clear as well coming out of the Jace and the Varus. Oh, decent. Oh, Max, cute idea. They don't get it. Hook lands, and the flash out of the shockwave, it just hula hoops as Longzhu look for their opportunity. Khan taking a lot of damage from Maha, but Longzhu on the other side of the fight.
Here we go.
Should be able to get this one. Doesn't get the knock up onto Maha, but lands the kick. Kuz redeeming himself on the Lee Sin. And Max, the last man standing, he shouldn't be able to push down anything more. Longzhu against the flow of play once again. Get the close to wipe.
And when you try to engage against Talia, Varus, and Jace and make a mistake, instantly you can be at 50% HP, and instantly you can see what can happen. This will be the 5th kill, so delayed ace coming through
there
for the side. In fact, actual ace coming through from the side of Longzhu. Gorilla initiating and then flashing away from the shockwave. He wasn't interested in 1-for-1s. It was a 5-for-0. And Longzhu, they might come close to just ending the game.
That was just spectacular out of Gorilla as well, and Kuz, the wraparound play, manages to win the fight on one front, and then he's mobile enough to get around the other side. BDD grabs the mid inhibitor turret, and after MVP looked like they may have turned something around, it's now back to a 7,000 gold lead.
Feels like MVP were given a teddy bear, and then someone came, ripped its head off, and then they didn't have a teddy bear anymore. Atlas, we see the replay. Really good stuff from Gorilla, getting the initiation onto ADD. The moment that Ian's ult is down, it's just going to be the killing fields for MVP. Kick onto Ian. Didn't quite get the knock up on Maha. Didn't matter. Full armor penetration build coming through from the Jace. Goodbye, MVP, and all that good work once again seems like it won't contribute to the end result.
Yeah. I have to say, a lot of that was to do with Longzhu just playing it out pretty beautifully. Talk about team fights as being a work of art. That was pretty close to orchestrating it the way that you want. They got the cooldowns out that they needed to. And then their target selection was great. The fact that they navigated around the damage dealers. Khan playing with vision very well towards the bottom side as well, keeping Maha busy. Beautiful to watch from Longzhu, but very disappointing from MVP, like you mentioned. Open inhibitor in the mid lane. Super Creeps pushing up the bot side, and Rumble is not a fan of super minions, Pop Smithy. Does not like them.
Not a fan of this Jace either, because Jace will just run at him and kill him. So needs to make a teleport play somewhere. Does have level 3 ultimate. That's about it. They need to be super proactive. Start it early, throw an Ash Arrow, invest a teleport, and if everything goes right, maybe they trade evenly. You know, that's kind of where we're at in the game, because otherwise, this is what happens. As you can see, Khan just running at Jace, so running at Rumble, and nothing Rumble can do.
Nope. Remember, there's no... Sorry. Baron was on MVP, so there's not going to be super minions on the bottom side. Sorry, there's not going to be Baroned up super minions on the bottom side, so that's going to be lucky. Baron minions are what Rumble really struggles with.
I would say
should be fine.
5-item Jaces are also what Rumble's really
So look,
with.
his day ain't great. So the moral of the story is certainly still there. There's, oh, cute new icon on the Guardian Angel. I think this is the first time I've casted a game with the new icon in there. Like it, like it.
Can't recall. We had a lot of Zax and Gallios, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Might be the first one, like you say. But with as much pressure as Khan is able to cause in the bot lane, they will get these pot shots onto the inner turret.
Oh, cheeky little ultimate comes out from Prey, buys him an extra auto attack on the turret.
Kaz thought about trying to make something happen as Khan generalizes impact to the mid lane.
Arrow just going to be narrow. Well, not really narrowly. That was called the walk to the right.
He had the movement speed from the acceleration gate, but I take what you're saying.
Yeah.
Slows down the Moby Boots as well, and Khan is pretty good at Jace as well, it turns out. We're starting to stack a list of about 5 champions he's pretty good on, which lets you know he's just a pretty good top laner, Atlas.
And I like that you mispronounced and said God, because, like, that's pretty Freudian, Papa Smithy. This guy is certainly...
Wasn't he more interested in mothers? I don't know if God was his thing.
What?
I'm a psychologist. Freud had a lot of those things going on there.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, that's where we went. That's where we went.
We went PG-13.
Well, there are certainly some options when you talk about Freudian slips, Papa Smithy, so you took the easiest. Well, Khan's going to hammer this Gromp in the face. That is going to be Infinity Edge done for Prey. QSS going to be Mercurial Scimitar relatively soon, but he's still sitting on his shield. Not a massive amount of items for the 1-0-10 Varus. And this is the beautiful thing about Summer Longzhu, is that Prey can be at 1-0-10, he can be down 30 CS, and Longzhu can still be utterly dominating the game.
Yeah, he still goes for the same utility pick, still will favor Varus and Ashe. But the supporting cast is just doing so much better. He has a carry in the mid lane. Fly was a lot of things, but a carry he was not. He has a carry in the top lane when he needs to be in Khan as well, and Cuz is increasingly settling in to the LCK, so
yeah,
at some point you're describing a balanced team comp, a balanced team, and things really starting to fall into place for Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, we all remember Prey as being a member of a team full of superstars as well. I mean, he was sitting next to Peanut and Smeb, and Kura to a certain extent, especially towards the end. Really looking very strong. So this is more where the Prey that we saw at such high power levels got all of that recognition from. So now setting up to try and siege down this inhibitor. Doesn't go down to half just yet, as Khan's looking to make his way over. Max charges himself up. Kuz is baiting out a hook. They just okay.
Optimistic.
Yeah, that was another one. There's, oh my god, the double shove once again! That was stunning. Gorilla's going to be able to grab Max. Nice double shockwave. But Gorilla's going to flash his way out, and the damage has been done. Longzhu haven't lost anyone. That's going to be 2 key picks. And they will be able to break this base apart. Khan still here. So much damage on this Jace. All the inhibitors are dead, and now it's just a matter of time before these Nexus turrets follow suit, Papa Smithy.
The timing of the seismic shove and flame makes it look like one large displacement. You'd think they'd pause the game and call bug. That's how far people are getting displaced into the welcoming arms of Longzhu.
It looked like a kidnap. It was like Cuz was
back
on the Zac.
They don't even need Zac to kidnap people.
Nope.
Thresh and Talia, and they make it work.
It's like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang all over again. The Child Snatcher was the scariest character of a movie that I watched before I was 11.
Can we just call it kidnap and not conflate things like children and stuff? We don't need to be overt in what perhaps we're commanding with the term
Well,
kidnap.
no, but if you Google it, Google the Child Snatcher from...
I don't want that on my Google search history!
From Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, put it in the same sentence, okay? That's a Dick Van Dyke film. He's never in anything bad. He's wonderful.
Still alive as well, from memory.
Yeah. Still going. He was in Scrubs relatively recently. This guy was in Mary Poppins and then playing in Scrubs. Dude's got a long story history. There's a big hook. Good flash from Khan. Saves his GA. And the Weaver's Wall will trap 3 members of MVP. It's just a matter of man advantage here for Longzhu as they take down Max as well. Good double shockwave once again. But Ian cannot be the only hero on this team. It's once again the same members that have been taken down. And Longzhu should follow super minions towards the Nexus.
Yeah,
once again.
It's 5v3, so the game should end here. Chasing on to Beyond, got nothing done on the Kha'Zix. He'll die as well. Game ends here in Longzhu Gaming. Double fire in their Infernals, double fire in their performances. We'll go this week, 4-0.
Yep, unbelievable. Well, not unbelievable, honestly, because we projected this, but it was the way they were able to pick up the victory. Longzhu, not at any stage, looked like they weren't going to be able to take down MVP, even after a Dissonance Baron steal. Still so much control, so much power. They'll probably look at that part of the VOD, but otherwise, what's there to review, Papa Smithy?
I mean, this game was so finely scripted that OGN didn't even show a replay of the Baron steal. They're like, that's not actually going to be relevant to the game. And it wasn't. You know that it wasn't. Nope. That's kind of the sad thing, is that wasn't a spark. That wasn't a turning point for the side of MVP. 10-0, double digits game losses have now become the reality for MVP, and they can't fall much further. That you can say, again, glass half full, the schedule gets better, but if we have to say that in a week's time, it's going to be a lie. You know, they need to get the results now. They have played all the top teams. Time to put up or shut up for MVP as Rift Rivals looms.
Yeah, but if you lose to the top teams, and you're going all the way down the list, right? This is the top 5 teams that they've all lost to. If you lose to all top 5 teams, you're never going to be going anywhere but relegation or waiting for the next season as well. I mean, this needs to be better out of MVP. They were our number 4 team in a league that has not changed that much with an unchanged roster. There are so many questions here for MVP. Why have the plays not been working? Why have they fallen apart as far as communication? There are so many questions.
I wish I had insight, but I don't have the answer to that, Atlas. Looking at the schedule, Africa on Wednesday. Not looking like an easy game.
No.
Tigers, maybe, on Saturday. And then the final match of the first round robin is BBQ. If they only win one series of those 3, they're still probably going to be bottom 2, Atlas.
Yep, it's still looking like relegations for MVP, so some drastic changes will need to be made moving into the next week. And Africa are no pushover, so we could be seeing 12 match losses in a row and game losses in a row. Like, when was the last time we saw that many? A team fall that flat? I mean, was Kongdu Monster even that bad?
Yes, there was Kongdu Monster, there was Spenu Sonic Boom, but those are names not in the LCK anymore. You think, okay, they played all the hard teams, but we're in LCK summer. There aren't many easy teams, Atlas. I don't know who you're really pointing to at this point. The Rocks Tigers may be 1-5, but they are way better than MVP based on what we have seen so far. MVP are 2-11 in game score. The Rocks Tigers have already won 5 games, so they will not be a pushover, that's for certain.
And to illustrate the point that we were making before about Prey able to rely on the rest of his team to get the damage done, Khan and BDD are filling that role to a plum, some would say.
Sporting Cast got better. We didn't think it would be Khan, their support to their substitute mid laner, and their jungler who's been with the squad, but wasn't even a substitute in the spring season. Cuz and BDD were not used. Cuz not available. They could have added him at any point, didn't choose to, and yet they bring back a substitute player from China and their own squad members, and suddenly they look brilliant. They look so much better. Your MVP, first time this season, crowd super hyped to see that Gorilla's got an MVP, and the meta includes Thresh. We've seen other melee supports. We're all waiting with bated breath for the Alistar. I hope that the world's best support Gorilla in 2015 is coming back soon, because he looked great in this game.
He looked great in this game. He's looked great in previous games as well. He's just on a team with a lot of flashy players.
This one perhaps is not.
Yeah, that's
he didn't die, actually. That's just, no, sorry. Camera
cut the video, cut the video.
But otherwise, we had some vintage Gorilla stuff going on. This was world's worst time for ADD. When your CC bar is displacement, you feel terrible. This was one of them match-winning points where Gorilla catches, but also flashes the shockwave. Super stuff from him, enforcing the engage in the bot lane. They cleaned up here. This was after MVP had stole a Baron. Look how many Baron buffs died. It was all 5, spoilers.
Yep.
As it was the delayed ace. Baron buff led to nothing. Everything good that MVP does increasingly seems to lead to nothing, Atlas.
That Flaismic shove was so good.
All right, I'll give you another go. Flaismic shove is not what we're calling it.
Seismic flay?
Yeah! It was a seismic flay. Think about it.
It was. I can't believe that was such a good option, and I went for the absolute worst option.
But this was great stuff from Longzhu. I'm happy that we can believe in Longzhu. It's kind of a counterpoint to MVP, right? Expectations for MVP, they're gone. They need to re-earn any expectations. But expectations for Longzhu, beating Rocks Tigers and beating this team today, MVP, was expected. But the manner in which they do it let us know that Longzhu are not a joke.
Well, we are going to go to the MVP interview, so here's Joel for some translation. At least I hope he's
Guys, this is Joel.
Yay!
This is the translations for today, and we're here with Longzhu Gaming, picking up a 2-0 victory against the struggling MVP, and we are here with today's MVPs, Gorilla and BDD, for the interview. Congratulations, guys. BDD, how long has it been since you had this interview? You know, I felt like I really wanted to be here, but it's just like I've been so lost track by all these wins that we've been having. But it's been a long time. It's this first interview of the season, perhaps. But how do you feel right now? It's just really nice to be here and like having to experience all of this. Well, officially you are one of the top MVPs with all the MVP points that you're getting. But Gorilla, with your first MVP of the season, how do you feel? I feel like me not getting the MVP is an obvious thing as a support, but I really want to pray to get the MVP. And I think that's one of the things that show that Longzhu is a strong team now with the support even getting the MVP. And another thing that we always have to mention is the Twitters that we see that you tweeting between you and Gorilla. Got lots of entertaining things on that, so you guys can check that out as well. We want to dive into the games actually. And the big picks within the recent meta was the Galio and the Zac. And you guys did prioritize the Zac over the Galio from the other team, but how was that? Yeah, we knew that we were going to split between Zac and Galio. They decided to go with the Galio, and we communicated within our teammates, and we thought that us getting the Zac would have been an okay trade as well. And what I'm personally curious is, what do you think is better between Zac and Galio? From a team's perspective. Just by itself, Zac is better. And I feel like Galio does have a bit of counter. That's what you have to watch out for. But Zac really has no true counter to it yet.
I agree. Good job, BDD.
And you showed a wonderful game with the mid Lucian. And did you ever felt during practice that you were going to actually play some competitive? Yeah, there were a situation where they picked out the mid laner and they were supposed to ban out all the other mid laners, so I couldn't get it. But from what I had led, we felt that Lucian was a good pick to go with. And of course, the first game was really insane in the fact that all the lanes really had dominance towards Longzhu, and I'm sure Cuz had a comfortable time with that. Yeah, Cuz is a very talented player, but he's lacking the confidence that he really has. So, all that potential that he has to perform as well as he could is not coming out to its full extent right now. And, the situation where we get behind with the jungling, it's just hard to come back right now because of the lack of confidence. And we felt that, the first game for you guys, the composition was near perfect due to the current meta. Well, how was that? Yeah, I think the ban pick phase is really important, but it's ultimately up to the players of how you can make the picks work, and our players did really well today. And an important fight around the Baron was the highlight of Game 1. So they came in at a crucial time trying to counter this play. What was the communication between this play? Yeah, we felt that the jungler was far away and that, we had good enough distance that we can try this Baron and try to rush it as fast as we can. But at the same time, even with us getting the Baron and they're trying to counter us, trying to get some kills, we had a good composition that we could fight back, so we were very aggressive in countering with the fight. Why are you looking so shy today, Gorilla and BDD? We want to move on to the second game. And it was Rumble and Jace, your guys' way around in Game 1, but it went the other way around with having the top Jace for you guys this time around. Yeah, Khan has a lot of pride and confidence over his laning phase, and he never really wants to lose in any laning phase more than any other players I know. So, him getting the Jace over the Rumble, he thought that he would have the advantage matchup, and he felt really confident all the way through. And we saw that even during game and off the game, where we saw one of the off the record clips that he's very active in communicating. Yeah, for Khan, one of his biggest asset is his bright attitude about everything, and giving us a very bright attitude and bright environment to work with. And because we have such a good environment to work around, a player like him really helps us perform all the better from all of our teammates and as a team and as all. But I think that's one of the reasons that our team got better this year. And a lot of people are having suspicions of why you guys are so much better now in the summer split. But what is the biggest reason that you guys are so much better this season? Yeah, I feel like, the off the games workouts that we're doing, trying to get our physicals up and trying to get us fit so, with a healthy physical, we can have a healthy mindset and just a healthy gameplay at all times. So those are the things that really helped us out this season. And moving on to game 2, it was a surprise that, after MVP saw you guys pick out the Thresh, they picked out the Blitzcrank. And I saw on the community page that Blitzcrank is supposedly a counter to Thresh, but I never thought that, but I don't know why he picked it, but I guess that, Thresh would have had a matchup over Blitzcrank, but he still picked it. And since Max has always been a fan of Blitzcrank, I think he would have picked it in most situations. Not really anything to do with me picking Thresh. We have a highlight in the bot lane. And this was when they picked up the Baron, and it would have been a very dangerous situation for you guys to fight. Yeah, the top lane, the wave was really not in our favor, so we had to go back to defend the base. So Khan was going back to defend the base, and we had a good opportunity to open up the team fight. Yeah, I felt like that hook didn't actually land, but I guess it was just inches away that it just hit barely. And it seems like the offensive meta is to your favors. Yeah, right now the support meta is really trying to be aggressive and trying to be an attacking mindset at all times. So, things like Thresh and other champions that are so aggressive, it helps me out in my personal playstyle. And we do have another highlight of Longzhu Gaming, and that is Prey, who is known as a finisher. He has been voted as the center of LCK. Oh, I had no doubt that, Prey was going to be picked as the center of LCK. He was the most handsomest guy I know, and I had no doubts from the beginning that he was going to be voted the highest. And of course, with Longzhu's team morale being so positive, with all these positive results. But right now, how do you guys feel, heading on to these next matches? I think we're very thankful for the results that we're getting, and we're really fortunate with, how our team is doing overall. And I feel like we want to continue on with this and really extend this as further as we can, and just hope that, you guys keep watching out for us and really continue to support us as well. So that seems to be the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Good to hear that Longzhu's mental and physical are both in good form at the moment, Papa Smithy, because knowing that they're a happy team makes me feel